Okay.
Probably the most economical and best value. That's the one we like.
Value for the money.
My suggestion, yeah.
What kind of top is it?
Easy on.
Anything hiding in there?
Oh, she doesn't need a new top.
Just remove all the fasteners that hold the top on and pay attention to what you're doing because you're going to be putting it back the exact opposite way. I get everything in position where I can get as many pieces in one time as I can. Leave this up a little bit. It's easy to get to everything. And I lay my parts on the hood of the car in the position I want to put them back in.
The screw for this one would go up on the front. The screw from this one would go here in the back.
No, I put them all on the front.
Oh, you put them all?
Yeah, the only thing you can really do on this car that can mess you up is get this particular one switched from side to side, and after you put it on, you find out you did something stupid. But there's little clips that hold this in that come in here. Probably the hardest part on the job is to get this little assembly back in again. There's a little cover plate that holds the bottom corner of the top, which is actually exposed right here when you put the top up. That's the most dangerous part of the job because you can rip the top doing that. If your car's doesn't have an original top, there's all kinds of creative ways that people find to put these back on, and a lot of them are like pop rivets and other stuff that are not such a great idea. The real trick is to put them right back in the exact. There's little marks on there. If you put it back in the exact same spot or as close as you can to it, it's probably going to not leak if it didn't before through those. So the tension cable's attached back here and up here. Normally, if we're not replacing the tension cable, I don't bother to drill out this rivet. We just take out the one end that you need to. On this car, however, we're taking it out. Yep. Yep. Now these are 5/32 rivets, which are not easy to find. Normally I leave this in.
Okay.
But that one's broken, so we've got to replace it, and we're putting new ones on either side. So just by way of demonstration, that is the listing. There's two of them. This one, on this particular car with the glass window, it comes all the way up and hooks to there. There's a crazy little flap here. And on the older ones, there's three each one of these rails has this same. No, there's a little channel right here. You'll see that. Get in here and take that out. This one, however, is magnetic, so see how it pops loose out of there? It's not a big deal when you take it out. When you go to put it back in, you can have a big slip with the wrong size bit.
What you're talking about is a tension cable?
Yep, the screw that holds it in. It's an actual machine screw. So this is how I would normally do it. I would leave that hanging right there, actually pull it up and get it out of the way. If I was just putting the top on the car with no cables. But we're putting cables on this one.
If you were doing that,
The appropriate holes, tie it on.
good practice.
That's it for the front of the car, with one exception.
To get in there,
You have to actually put a rivet in them because
I think, but
they're somewhat exposed. Good idea to, what I do, just for reference, is I leave the screw in the piece. You can't mistake it for another. You won't have this on your older tops. Mm-hmm. And apparently the wires can go either way because the clips are exactly the same.
Are the mechanisms pretty sturdy?
You probably, I don't know if you would do this if you were doing it at home, but it makes it a lot easier for me. I don't have to get inside the car to take it apart.
Well, yeah, I've taken out the rain rail on another car that has a hard top, and then you take the top out. And you can do it, but it's not, you're right, it's not a lot of fun.
And these will break a lot of the time.
Yep.
The brown ones are
I've
really
broken
hard to
some of
find. I don't know if you guys have a place to get them, or I can no longer get the brown ones, so the ones that break,
for traffic, so did you have little holes on the side? Recall?
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah.
Part of the car that's caused holes in it, and then Miata NB recall.
The strap's also attached to that on the third bolt back, third stud back, and that's.
So this
not
is the
really
kind of
functioning like it should.
deterioration that sets in after a while.
Yeah, and this one is not really allowing. It's got so much stuff in it that's not allowing it to do its job. You can see where it's come over it. See that? It's rolled right over the top of that and going down the backside. See all that wetness?
Oh, this is the rain. What do you call it? A rain rail or something?
Yeah, the drain channel is what we call it.
Rain channel.
Rain gutter, or lots of different things.
All convertibles have some
No. Some go to the outside.
I noticed it on mine.
This one's actually in good shape.
There was
Seldom will you find one in that nice a condition. The actual plastic will deteriorate over time? Cracks.
Oh, yeah.
And every time you mess with it, it cracks more and more. It's just a hard piece of, yeah, it wasn't a good idea. And the second generation, this car here, is slightly better than the first ones. The first ones were all terrible.
How about the third? Can you comment on the third generation?
I can't,
Any better?
can't comment on that car at all, because I've done maybe 2 tops on it, and it's been a couple of years since I don't know what it's like, really. I mean, I don't remember.
right, but you can have the mark there. Yeah. So when you do the top,
So that's it for the disassembly, other than we're going to clean it up, see, and clean the drain channels out, which are, now is when you can get to them. It's the way to go.
You can get to them with the top on, right?
With the top up in
Yeah.
position, you can get to them, very difficult.
Yeah, right.
It's also a collection area. Basically the drain, it collects all this water, dirt and leaves and all that, runs it around the side of the car. There's a small hole down here that drains straight through into the rocker panel and out the bottom of the car. This one's completely clogged on this side, haven't seen that side.
This is
you
wet,
see right down in that little corner there?
Yeah.
It's just, looks like topsoil.
This is wet here.
What do you clean yours with?
Well, we vacuumed all this junk out of here, and then I'll show you in a second. I use a flexible cable.
I've
and
got
I
a
run it
rod
through
off
there.
of,
Directly where I'm pointing is right there.
Okay.
The hole is actually, see, now the hole's,
Okay.
there's the top of the hole now. See that?
Just move your hand a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, that little piece of. Yeah, I can see the dirt around the top of the hole there.
Yeah, you can probably see it better from this side.
Okay, I got it.
So that's where not.
actually, I don't have this cover plate on my car right at the moment.
okay. Oh, you just left it on.
Well, I had an issue with the connector to the fuel pump, and every now and then the connector wouldn't make it. So I just lift the carpet and I'd wiggle it and I could get.
I actually like that color better.
Well, right directly under this plastic piece it makes a little turn, and
You'll actually,
if it's clogged down
this thing is
low,
clogged up. You'll actually get
sometimes it pushes it off. It's a straight piece. You're trying to run a straight piece through something that's curved like that. Laps on it to avoid dirt from going down and go through.
And what's that you're using? I think. Pardon?
You can put it down part way. You can
What you do is,
Gets down in the hole good.
This is what's called the package shop. But to get the so I don't know if that's what you were planning. Hold it back.
once you know that it's not clogged. You'll hear it down below.
Gotta clean that stuff up.
I got a new pull, and what had happened, I wanted to do the top before I did the zipper. I said, all clear. Right down the top.
Hard top? Scoop? It was like a Le Mans race. He had gotten out of the Navy. The thing was just sitting on the used car lot. So he went and bought it. And they couldn't keep the thing running. It was carbon up. So he traded it in on a station wagon.
Oh, that was my friend Steph.
The way the drain channel goes in, it just fits over these studs. And it has two clips in the end that hold it in. That also hold in this little piece of black, this little trim piece on the end. It helps hold that in, the same clip. It's used for both. Now, if you buy a top that's already got this built in, this step will happen later when you put everything. I mean, the top is attached to that, so
You like
you'll probably. I'm sorry.
installing them in terms of adjusting final adjustments. Are you better off with one like this or with the installed
I
one?
prefer this way. It gives me the ability to do the top in a different manner. If the top is attached to this, I have to start back here. I prefer to start up here and work my way back. Well, actually, sort of do that, but I prefer this to be near the end.
Because you got more adjustments you can make here.
Well, yeah, I can. It gives me access to some of the things that need to be attached without having to climb in the car and make it really tough. And the feel for that is just taking the slack out of here and then
All right, there we go.
slide that down in.
That's crazy. It
Once it's
relies
in?
on a piece of plastic like this. Yep. Is it not all the way in here or something?
It's not in yet. It's just here.
Did you really?
Put those back. What's that?
It's fitting.
Oh yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I got dings on the door and stuff in parking lots, but the one on the front bothers me because I can see it. The other
As you can see, it's partially under this. That inner lip tucks inside. The drain channel tucks inside this lip here. Free that up. That's important on this car.
My little arm broke. The switch is still working. If you take it apart, you can still put the windows.
Take much. Under that, it's right here. And out to about there.
Can you say again what you're doing?
I'm putting adhesive on the frame of the car. I'm going to put matching adhesive on the top in these areas. It's contact cement. You can put it on when it's dried, and it still holds. So I'm just prepping the frame up so that I don't have to do anything later. It's very difficult to spray glue with the top on, so take advantage of it now.
I do like the fact that when I come to like a solicitor, I go, other than that,
I personally do is when I remove the top from the box, if it has a liner cardboard, I use that. If not, I'll cut the box apart, remove all the staples from it, and lay the top on that. It never touches ideally, it never touches the table, it never touches anything dirty. You're trying to keep it clean, you know, from a professional standpoint. If I don't get it dirty, I don't have to clean it before it goes out the door.
Yeah.
And since it's going to be laid on the table upside down, with a couple of pieces of tape across the glass to help stop it from getting possibly scratched. You think you can't scratch glass, but you definitely can.
Yeah.
And all that does is just makes it easier for me to hold it in place when I put it back on. There's sticky double-sided tape from the factory.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to put on. So. This has actually already been sprayed before because when we got the top, when we started, I was prepping it to put it on when we figured it was not the right color. So as you can see, that's already been done. I'm just going to use the right holes. And then I tie the cable onto that and slide it through when I get to the car. Saves a lot of work. This can cause damage if you don't do it right, but basically you run the string through with the wire.
Yeah.
Easier to do on the bench.
So the string came already in the top?
No, it did not. I had pre-prepped this top because we were going to put it on another customer's car, and it turned out the color was wrong. We found out at the last moment.
Yeah.
So back in the box it went.
Yeah.
It was never put on the car. It was the process I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
Is what I did while I was, was getting ready to put it on the car.
What's the tape for?
Just to protect the window while I had it on the table, so to keep it from scratching. Okay, so all this does is this comes up, tucks around that. So tuck this black plastic into that groove there. It's sliding, so it doesn't matter. There is a center. I mean, on any convertible top, yes, the center is very important, but this one is a sliding rail. So the hardest. You need to make sure you get it in right, and obviously you can pop right back out. Like I said, this is going to slide, so you don't need to be. The center is not critical at this point. So you just tuck it down in there, and you can use a putty knife. That one's down in, and you can press on the other way, and it'll actually be held in by that thumb. And it's easy to screw this up by when you bring it back against the frame, you can actually bring it down. So I work with this. Try to check this side. I'm sorry?
Where? I didn't see where you sprayed the glue earlier.
In these corners and in the back corners there.
So you don't actually spray it on top here?
Oh,
Nope.
it's on the sides here.
Definitely not.
It seems like on one of the old British cars we used to have to glue that top lid.
On most cars. On most. Put a little pressure on the back of this, you can tell that it's going to stay in or not.
Okay.
And then, but if you get it in right the first time, it's not going to come out. And also, these go this way with the edge of the cable to the outside. Make sure you get this in right because you're not going to want to redo it later.
Off rivet.
Yep. The longer 5/32 rivet.
I mean, they told me it's
That
going to be the exact
ensures that it gets down through that hole and stays there. The shorter one will work, but it's a really tight shape.
I've seen so many of them torn up though.
We got this car.
Looking like a top. I suspect the hard part is still there.
Get this out of the way.
It's over in the guitar store.
Comes through there. As you can see, I pass it through the exit and through that little protective piece, which is going to actually sit
That's that
on
tension.
top of there.
That's the tension cable that you had fed into the top earlier.
That's correct. Slot it goes down into that hole. See how it doesn't want to.
So right now you're attaching the end of the tension cable.
I am. And see, you have to apply some pressure onto it. That's why the number 3 is very important. You can get it just in the position.
It's also why you lift up the top to add some slack so when the top
Exactly.
is lowered you put tension
Now,
on it.
Having said that, if you find the top with a rail on it and all that, you're going to be working this way forward. You would put this on with no tension on it and then put your rivet in up here. I do it this way because I come from the front to the back. It may not be the best way for a one-time installation. Bar 2 and 5. Oops. There's a fixed spot that they go into, holes in the frame, where we drilled out or chiseled out earlier. You probably want to drill them out on your own car.
You're
Just
not
so
in
it's
where
easy.
you belong, are you? Oh, yeah, you are, sorry.
Only
So
go
you
in one
chiseled
spot.
out the old fasteners.
Yeah,
Okay.
And these are just standard aluminum rivets.
5/32 diameter, hard to find, but standard, yes.
5/32.
Let me get this right here.
See, I used to know the metric equivalent.
And just go ahead and lay back. And now these corners, that little weird corner thing, you can see it's you'll probably have to fiddle with this if you're doing it on your own. But basically this corner fits right in that groove at the front, and you have to leave some slack in the back side. Why they did it that way, I don't know, but if you don't, it won't look right.
And this is also using one of the areas where you added contact cement?
Yes, that's correct. This is the other part that holds it down. You could do it without it. The weather strips will hold, channels will hold it on, but it's hard to do all that at one time, so that's how I do it. And the factory did that. They
So
had
this
little,
cut is just,
exactly. Now we're gonna put the front piece on.
depends on what.
It's sort of like fastener thing. They don't
No,
align
it
well.
slips. It depends on which one you have. When you go to some of the new tops, you have to get a new one. Because tops
I did this wrong.
What I do is before you put it in
glue
there,
down.
is clip it to the clips,
Right.
and then put it in there. And sometimes
We're
they
gonna come back and double check all that before we put any weather strips on.
But once you do that, it's fine.
What I was complaining actually, I thought that the actual fastener.
What do you stick this side?
These guys right here.
Yeah.
Yep. Flat.
Yep, so
Where's
that
this
this
edge?
that just lays there.
What about a wrinkle there?
Don't worry about it, just stick it on there.
Do you pull it up flush like that?
Yep, flush with that back edge. Like I said, this is preliminary.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're lined
Goes
up.
all the way to the front. It's called a tunnel cover. Really nice because then you never have to use the boot. You just it's a boot. It's basically a permanent boot. And
These little white clips will pull out of here
When you
if you're not careful. So you want to, just think it's going to be an issue.
So how many times do you have to sort of reset, readjust for tight fit?
Hopefully none. Tried to get it right the first time. But sometimes you do. That's why I don't put the weather strips on until I take them. And this is the last step here. Hopefully we'll be all right. But I can still adjust all this if I have to.
the top is so easy. It doesn't
I guess the reason they have that carpet in there is because the glass lays right on.
Yeah.
made it faster. Yeah, the Saturn Sky was the fast one. The Sky came with a turbo. Opposed to what you would do with Mazda. You go for that. The brakes and
Oh, don't lock it. I'm not going to lock it.
the suspension are all coming together. They just put the regular. Now you have two big engines.
Just let it. Now, another time saver that I like to do is this is where you want to put in those other two rivets. Well, you can access it. What I do is I just go inside and I flip this lip out. Put those on one at a time. On the easy on has their own peculiar way of making this where you've got to do that. And the reason they do that is because there's no attachment at the point where this ends, where all the tension is, so they spread it out. Some people put a rivet there. There again, I don't like to do that if I don't have to. I have done that, and sometimes you do have to.
That might help cause it to
You to put on if you're doing it yourself, but you know, it's for me. I prefer to do it this way. I don't really like this design, so I start in the center and work my way out. Get those on. What you can do, it's very difficult to get these on unless you put the center one on first, and it still can be difficult. To avoid these jumping off on you, sometimes you can put them in and then just take the nut that's laying here before you ever have this rail in and just put, a couple threads on there to stop it from popping back out. That'll save you some time sometimes.
Same thing under the dash. I modified mine to do that. I modified mine.
My 08, yeah, I've got instead of a six-speed changer, if it's rated pretty well.
Your back's better than mine.
I pulled my cassette deck out.
Mine's
the other top off,
takes
the junk that was
corroded.
Oh, you mean an employee discount from Meyer Emerald? I think they're
But she doesn't
I was stationed in Italy
you
for a
know,
couple of years.
part of shop life.
just come walking.
Yeah.
Anything less than 40, because the vinyl doesn't. Until like 2 weeks ago.
It feels better, that's for sure. Well, this is a weird area.
Is this the second top on this car?
Yeah, original, and then this one is the second.
What year car is this?
99.
I said, what do you have for this? And they're like, oh, we have a plastic cleaner and a plastic faucet.
No, the plastic window.
The clear rear window has that white look, greasy look. This stuff. No, I mean, they cater to people that have very expensive cars that live in the shows, you know, but you know, for my busy years.